Hiya, welcome everybody to Talking Tech with Creative Podcasts. I've always loved tech and finding cool new ways to use it. They has been taking things to a whole new level. So I'm excited to dive in, learn more, and share great stuff with you. Plus, we hear from real experts. We've got one in the studio today. His name is Rob Moore, and he's kindly I agreed to be a guest at the podcast today. So I just want to say thank you so much, Rob, for coming to um, talking tech with creatives and for giving us your time today. I'm going to just say a bit about you, and then we'll just dive into the questions. So Rob is a successful and influential entrepreneur, author, podcaster, speaker, and founder of Progressive Property. He owns and co-owns hundreds of properties in the UK. He hosts the Disruptor and Money podcasts and interviews successful entrepreneurs. Rob has unique insights and rants on business, money, and life. He's also the author of his 18 best-selling books, including Money, Life Leverage, and Start Now, Get Perfect Later. So, Rob, three things excite me about this interview. The fact that you are so real and pull no punches, I love that. You're real. That you're passionate and teaching the next generation about money. I listened to one of your shows where you talked at a school and how you engaged the children. And finally, I believe you were an artist. You became a strong practical entrepreneur. So I'm going to dive into the questions that I have for you. I know you were an artist between 2002 to 2005. And I'm interested in knowing why you went from art to property development.
Mostly because of the money. So when I was an artist, by December 2005, I'd worked myself into maybe nearly 50 grand's worth of consumer debt, car loans, credit cards, etc. I was working in my dad's pub. I was doing a bit of art on the side. And I was a bit lost. I was nearly 26. Then on December the 15th, 2005, my dad had a nervous breakdown in his pub. It was a big event. The police got called out. He got beaten up and arrested by the police, taken away, sectioned. And I remember for probably a good week it was probably longer, but there was this week where I just had this intense self-loathing and really thought I've got to do something with my life because I felt like a bit of a loser. I felt somewhat responsible towards my dad's bipolar disorder because he put me through school and university, bought my first car, helped me buy my first house. And I wasn't really amounting to anything. And I felt a lot of shame about that. So that week after, I was looking for any opportunity I could get. I would have taken any job. But I just so happened to speak to one of my gallery owners, and he'd been telling me to get into property for about 2 years, but I was used to dismiss it. Oh, it's for yuppies. Oh, you need to be rich to get into property. You need loads of money for deposits. And he was saying things like, no, you don't. You can do creative finance and joint ventures and no money down and all this stuff that, to be honest, I didn't really believe I could do it, or I thought it was a scam. But because what had happened with my dad, I guess I was going to say more open-minded. I wasn't. I was just more desperate, I suppose, and prepared to try anything. And it worked. I went to a property networking event. I met my business partner there, who's been a business partner for 17 years. I met him at the first event I went to. We struck it off quite quickly. Within 3 months, he'd blagged me a job in the company he was working for, a property sourcing company. Mm-hmm. Within 12 months, I got rid of my debt, earned nearly 100 grand. We'd bought 20 properties. And then in the next year, we set up Progressive Property, bought another 30 properties the year after, another 50 the year after that. And like you said, we've now become the UK's largest property training company. We're pushing 200 million in sales in total. And, Mark and I have hundreds of properties that we own and 1,350 tenants that we manage. So I guess property wasn't my first try. Mm-hmm. I tried a couple of things small. I had a little eBay business. which did all right. I was an artist. Both of them did okay for a little guy from Peterborough, but, you know, they didn't make me a millionaire or anything. And then property, I suppose, was my real proper go, and I'm still doing it today. In fact, we bought a big Pizza Hut building just a couple of weeks ago, and we're still looking for a couple of buildings right now. We just developed about 160,000 square foot, which is about 210 tenants in those two buildings.
Wow.
So yeah, we're pretty active in the property space.
And I just want to tease something out of that, what you just said, because I know that you listen to the person that told you about properties, but not everybody has the ability to actually go from maybe some people, a few people, the average person will probably go for 1 or 2 properties or 3 properties and maybe kind of like make it, but you kind of like went huge. So I want to see the mind behind that. What was your thinking and the mindset that got you to go big within 12 months?
Well, I don't think we went big within 12 months. I mean, I think, we went fast. I went fast because I was desperate and hungry and motivated and young and had energy and stuff to prove in the world. And, I wanted to make my dad proud, and all those motivators really helped. But you can have all of that in the wrong business or at the wrong time and still not succeed. But it took us 3 years to buy, hold and or sell about 100 deals. But bearing in mind there's 2 of us, so we've got the double time leverage there. And my business partner had a bit of previous experience. So, okay, yeah, maybe we did go quite far. I mean, I've not really got anyone to compare it to. But it's not like we went from 0 to hundreds in 12 months, because that's unrealistic. But, the longer you've done something, the more it compounds. And we often reinvest profits. So first I was using Mark's money, then he was using his parents' money, then we were using my parents' money, then we were using friends and family money, then we were using client money. And then we built up enough of a portfolio that we could use our own money. And now we mostly use our own money because we have enough profits being kicked out of the businesses and a built up pension that we have a problem of more cash that we need to invest into assets.
Yes.
But if anyone wants to model those, if anyone wants to start their business and do well quite quickly, I think motivation, hunger, desire, I think a little bit of trauma can help. So I interviewed an ex-CIA spy, and he said the CIA hire people with some childhood trauma because it makes them very motivated. So often we think the stuff that's happened when we were growing up makes life hard for us, but actually it can create great motivation. And, many entrepreneurs flunked at school or were bullied. Many people who are black belt martial artists went into martial arts because they were bullied. So, your values and your successes come from your voids. And I had quite a few voids going on. I think finding a really good partner who has opposing and complementary skill sets can really help. I think finding the right business model at the right time. Being a pub landlord in the mid-2000s was one of the worst businesses to be in. But now, being in the content creator economy or in the AI space, they're the best business models to be in. So you've got to pick the right business model as well and time it right.
Okay, so you were just in the right time. And that actually takes me to my next question, because you're a multi-hyphenate. You're in properties, you have 2 podcasts, you have a training company, you've written 18 books. So even your grounding is in properties, you're continuously pivoting and creative. So I'd like to know why. I'm quite interested in that, just that mindset.
I've had a little bit of an internal struggle with this, probably since I was maybe 12, and I'm 44 now. So for 32 years, I've wrestled with, do I get really good at one thing? Because apparently that's really good. Or, am I the kind of guy that can get quite good at multiple things? And I have a high variety need and a low boredom threshold. And so at times in my life, it's hurt me because I got good at most sports. I got good in some vocations, but I would get bored. I would need to do something else. And it would almost be a bit of self-sabotage. But since I started becoming an entrepreneur, I can set up different verticals within the realm of being an entrepreneur, all under the same umbrella. Mm-hmm. In fact, they were all in the niche of property for a good 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I can meet my need for variety, but I've also got the consistency of it being under one company. So I can write books, I can do public speeches, I can launch courses, I can buy property, I can sell property, I can do lettings and management. And so I got my need for variety met. So I don't know that it's great, that I have got a good breadth of skills. Mm-hmm. Or rather, I've got a good breadth of results, if you think of my CV.
Yes, of course, yes.
Is that better or worse than someone who's done one thing for 17 years? No, it's just different. Mm-hmm. I think the key is knowing yourself, because sometimes I think, well, if I hadn't done that and that and that and that, and I just stuck to that, by now I could be the biggest in the world. Maybe I could, but you have to, at some point, honor and accept who you are.
Yes.
I mean, I'm writing a book at the moment called Money Matrix. So I wrote a book called Money in 2018. And then I wrote Start Now, Get Perfect Later, I'm Worth More, Opportunity, and now I'm going back to money. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think if those three books in the middle were all money related, I might be much bigger than I am regarding, my brand. But then I have 2.3 million followers on my database and on social media. Mm-hmm. I still feel quite young. I've not done too bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say to me, "Oh, Rob, what would you do differently if I started again?" But we've done over 200 million in sales, and I've built a portfolio of hundreds of properties. So maybe I shouldn't be so hard on myself, and maybe I wouldn't do anything different, and maybe I've just got to honor and accept who I am.
I think for me, just putting my opinion in, my 2 cents in, I think you've done extremely well. I believe that in the UK things are a bit conservative. I know things are changing because of social media, because of digital. We're all getting digitized in different ways. So for me, I feel you've done excellently, and you set an example for people who want to do things the way you've done it. Not exactly copying what you've done, but people who are able to do different things. So for me, I follow your lead. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah. So talking about that, you talked about recurring income at the recurring income summit. You talked about 20 digital assets that produce recurring income. Why are they important, and how can creatives monetize knowledge in an increasingly AI space and technology space?
Okay, so I'm about 1 week away from finishing my next book, which is called Money Matrix. Mm-hmm. And in there, I talked about there's 7 different types of income. 5 of them are recurring or income-based income. Mm-hmm. One of them is capital, one of them is earned income, and the rest are dividends, royalties, etc. Rental income is another one. Mm-hmm. So if possible, try and focus on the 5 that are recurring and residual, and not the 2 that are active and take a lot of time. And you want your money working hard for you rather than you having to work hard for your money. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So why is recurring income important? Well, if you don't make money while you sleep, you'll be working until you die. This is what Warren Buffett said. Mm-hmm. And, you might have a change of heart about where you want the direction of your career to go. You might get made redundant or fired, or there might be a lockdown, or you might have an injury, or you're only one very small outside event away and your ability to earn has gone to zero.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
And so many people are just one decision away or a week away from being broke.
Yep.
So recurring income, instead of spending cash on depreciating liabilities, you invest in assets that produce income and appreciate in value. Mm-hmm. And recurring income is income that comes every month, a membership site, mm-hmm. or, your royalty income from your books and audiobooks, or your franchise.
Yeah.
Or, ad and sponsor revenue from your Facebook lives, your reels, mm-hmm. TikTok, now Twitter, etc. Now, I've been doing this 17 years, and there was no such thing as the creator economy 17 years ago. Mm-hmm. In fact, Facebook and YouTube were just starting out. And now You can create your own NFTs. You can make your own cryptocurrencies. You can earn money on virtually every social media channel. You can start your own membership site. You can start your own OnlyFans. You can sell your videos. You can sell your recording and your mentoring. You can launch online courses. Rob.teams had nearly 10,000 members join in the last 3 years.
Wow.
My online membership site. So, because mainstream media is being disrupted, and, people don't trust the BBC. They don't trust mainstream media anymore.
No.
So, you want to build your own media platform, which can be Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, you name it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even your own physical digital platform, like your own app or your own email database.
So, just speaking on that, you talked about where you are now and the fact that you're doing so many, all the things you're doing and under the umbrella. When we talk about the technology that we have this day, because you mentioned some of the technology and we're going to go a bit into those, how do you see yourself? How do you see your vision of where you are and the technology that is available to you? I know you've done NFTs. How do you see yourself going forward using the technology that is available now? Because things are changing. We're moving into a different kind of web, a different kind of even data, in terms of so many things. We're moving, we're pivoting, we're changing. Things are changing at the moment. We don't have fast adoption, but things are changing. But I just want to see your vision around that.
Yeah, so that's not new. Ever since I've been in business, how you do business, how you generate leads, how you get your message out there, what platform to launch on, what technology and apps and outsourcers and systems and processes you can use. It's always been the case. And, I think it's quite important to test new technology and new platforms relatively early. Moore's law suggests that the speed of technology and its power doubles every 2 years. And if you think about how AI could now accelerate further the speed of data production, output, technology, leverage, etc. So for me, it's normal. And if you don't embrace the new platforms, you get behind on social media and building a brand. If you don't embrace the new tech, you're always going to have to spend money on staff and you're going to have a high overhead.
Yeah.
So, my show is called Disruptors.
Okay.
And I think if you don't disrupt yourself, someone else is going to disrupt you. If you think about how Netflix disrupted when you used to have to get your films on DVDs and you used to have late fees and all of that kind of stuff. So this should be normal business practice to spend some of your time, not all, but some of your time researching and testing new tech.
So which ones have you tested? Which ones have you researched?
Well, of course, AI is the big new one, isn't it? I'm always looking for the next social media platform or the next app or piece of software, that can make our business easier, faster, better, more convenient. But of course, the one that everyone's talking about, and rightly so, is AI because, so many jobs that people do, these AIs can do. Just in our business, it looks like now the AIs can generate thumbnails, the AIs can edit, it can cut shorts, it can transcribe. If you're running a podcast agency, it might do the job of 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
So, this is something you got to take very seriously. Yeah.
So how do you think people should use those technologies? So what I'm saying is that you've said that we know that it's going to do the job of maybe 3 or 4 people. So that means that 3 or 4 people are likely not to have those jobs. So what do you advise people now to do if they were in an area where their job is under threat? How should they adopt these new technologies rather than being scared of them?
Well, this is also not new because how many people were made redundant when cars replaced horses?
Yeah.
How many people were made redundant when the automatic factory line replaced manual labor?
Yeah.
So, this is not new. This always happens. So to anyone who is worried about this, you've got to reskill. You've got to protect yourself and make sure that you've got high paying skills. The problem is if you have low paying manual based labor, you're always the first to get wiped out. So what you need to do, especially by robots, you need to look for high paying, high skilled work, and you need to reskill. It doesn't matter what age you are. Do it now. Do it in the evenings and weekends. Watch YouTube videos. Buy books. Reskill now if you're worried that your particular role in 2 years, you might be made redundant.
Okay. That's a good advice for the readers, for the listeners, the readers. So I read Money podcast. You had quite a lot of practical skills. Sorry, I listened to your Money podcast, but I read your Money book, and you had a lot of practical advice on that. I was even going to say, Rob, do you have a journal to actually go with the Money book? Because I thought a journal would have actually been lovely as well, because you did some calculations there, and you talked about the relationship with money and how people leverage, what they have, and it was a very holistic view of money. I really enjoyed reading it. So can you tell us more about how people leverage, if they have a bit of money with the emerging technology and everything, how do they leverage what they've learned with what is happening now in terms of emerging technology? How do they leverage their social skills or the people they know? How do they leverage that?
I think you want to really understand. So in my book, Life Leverage, I did this detailed chapter. VVKI. There it is, right behind you. Vision, values, KRAs, IGTs, and KPIs. So number one, are you clear on your vision? My vision is to help as many people get better financial knowledge. Number two, what are your values? Our company values are progressive, innovative, personal. Number three, what are your key result areas? What are the most important jobs that you can do that move you towards your vision the most? So mine are collaborations, content, partnerships, building the team, creating the vision, etc. IGTs are income generating tasks. So what tasks do I do that make money? Public speeches, writing books, board meetings, etc. And then KPIs are key performance indicators. How do you track that you're moving towards your vision, living according to your values, doing your key result areas, generating the maximum amount of income. And anything else should be delegated, deleted, or delayed. Outsourced, paid for. And people say, oh, yeah, Rob, but I can't afford to pay for stuff. You can't afford not to. Yes. If you are doing $5 tasks that are stopping you from doing $50 tasks, every task you're doing is costing you negative $45 when you could pay $15 to outsource it.
Yeah, I saw the calculations and I was blown away by that, Absolutely.
So really, that I guess that's a summary of the backbone of the book Life Leverage and how to leverage out anything that's not a key result area or a high income generating task for you. Okay.
So that is brilliant. So if I want, let's look at Rob of today now. Let's see, at the time that you, 17 years ago, we know it's completely different from now. So let's say young Rob is starting out now, the way you started out 17 years ago. What are the things that you're going to quickly do with very little money? What would you do now, using what is available?
What would I do now? You mean if I was starting again?
If you were starting at the young Rob of the 26-year-old Rob today, what would he do? What would he do today with all the technologies and everything available?
Okay, I'd definitely start an information business. I'd leverage social media online and jump in this creator economy, find out what my skills, talents, and passions were for creating content, repurposing them across all channels and turning on all the monetization features. I would also try and find an entrepreneur who's running a very successful business and doing very well, and I'd probably go and get some work experience with them. Maybe I'd work with them a bit and also do some work for them that I was also doing for me, so I could gain the knowledge required to be vastly successful. And then I'd reinvest the profits back into property. So I'd probably not really much different, to be honest.
Yeah. So in terms of, you talked about, like going to work with an entrepreneur, finding someone. So most people, you talked about mentorship as well. I read about, you talking about mentorship, how, and the different kind of mentors. So how do you think people should go about seeking mentorship from people? Because I can't come to meet you now, Rob, and say, okay, be my mentor, because I'm sure a million people are coming out for you to be a mentor to them. But I know that for me, the best I could get out of the relationship with you for when I started, I was going from some of your courses, which I really found useful. They were practical. So if somebody was starting out trying to get a mentor, what is the advice for them?
There's 3 ways to do this. Number 1, you go and work for them as an entrepreneur or an apprentice. Because if you work for them, as long as they're not too big of a company, you're probably going to get some time with them. Number 2 is you just message them and say, hey, look, I'm starting out. I really admire your journey and what you've achieved. I wonder if I could buy you a coffee, or just have 5 minutes on the phone.
Wow.
And you can just try and nick a bit of time here and there. Number 3 is you pay them and you join their courses. You read their books. You go on their mastermind programs. And that's the accelerated way, just depending on your budget. But they're the 3 ways. It's much easier than people think.
Yeah, you're right. Because a lot of people don't feel, I remember reading Tim Ferriss's 4-hour week, and he talked about looking for 3 people that you think you could not reach, and actually going out and reaching out to them, and just don't even think about it. Just reach out to them and see if they'll come back to you. And he actually thought that would work. And I did that. I remember reaching out to people, boldly reaching out, and they came back to me. Well, not everybody came back to me, but it worked. So that's brilliant. So I want to ask you about, just in terms of, like, business can be demanding, and art, you went from being, you pursued a career as an artist. And so you still have that, that can never be taken away from you. That's the thing that is feeding all of what you're doing at the moment. How do you kind of do you still engage in art in any way?
Not in the pure sense of the word of painting, but my NFTs were a very artistic, creative endeavor. And I think that being in business is very artistic and creative in the marketing campaigns that you do, or the way that you run your business. So I don't think, the thing is, people always ask me, Rob, did you do any art after you got into property? And I didn't do any art, but I did get my creative needs met through my business. Otherwise I would have done more art. So I think if you're a creative type person, I think it was Andy Warhol that says, great business is great art, and great art is great business. And I think that you don't have to be purely commercial and not creative, or purely creative and not commercial. I think you can blend the 2.
So what you're saying is that you can feed from the same place. It's coming from the same place. That's what it is. So how do you find your stillness? How do you recharge? What do you enjoy? How do you find that stillness in you?
I'm not a still person at all. I'm always moving and fidgeting all the time. I don't really like holidays. I don't really have many other hobbies outside of business. I like to do a lot of fitness work and fitness challenges. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm interested in business. And any free time, it's training or spending time with my family or doing social stuff that's related to business.
Wow.
That's it. Writing my books.
Hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. So how is your first Ferrari F30 Spider?
Yeah, the F40 Spider, I bought that 15 years ago nearly. Yeah, we did all right out of that. I paid 75 for that and got 78 back in, and we had it for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's good. So you have a large watch collection. I'm writing this series at the moment, and it's got to do with some kind of affluent area it's a mystery series. And I went to Harrods and I spent a long time in the watch department. I learned so much on that day. And I want to learn more. So, I mean, like, what's your favorite watch? Because that the salesperson was telling me about who buys a watch, who buys certain kind of watch, and what they buy. So, what's your favorite watch? What do you like, or which one is your two or three favorites out of your collection?
So yeah, one of the reasons I like having a watch collection is because they're a good asset class, and they're an asset class you can also enjoy, because I don't enjoy my stock market portfolio and I don't enjoy my crypto. You know, I love the fact that they go up. I don't get any pleasure out of them, but you know, my 1987 Rosso Red Ferrari Testarossa, or my 1989 Guards Red Porsche 911 Turbo, or just born Aston Martin DBS, or my Patek Philippe's, or my Audemars Piguet's. You know, these give me immense passion and joy, and you meet other collectors who are also as geeky as you about them. And so it's a great place to put your money, to be diversified. And it's a way to enjoy material items, but them not being a depreciating liability. So the two watches I've bought consistently the most of are probably Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet. I also like some more boutique-y brands. I think anyone who's got a watch collection has got quite a few Rolexes, as have I. I also like Richard Mille. Yeah, if you buy the right ones, they go up in value and you get to enjoy them. Now, here's the other thing as well. If you wear a nice watch, people will notice that.
That's what the guy said.
It's like a magnet to attracting good quality people.
Yes.
Yeah.
That it said that, you know, I was fascinated. I was blown away when he told me. It said it's like a passport. Look at the kind of watch you're wearing.
It is. It's like a key on your wrist.
Like a key
that unlocks doors you've never gone through before.
Seriously?
Yeah. Well, for example, I had a client on one of my courses, and he was wearing a Patek Philippe Nautilus, and I went, "Oh, that's a Nautilus." And he went, "Yeah, I like your Nautilus." And we got chatting, and he's become a friend, and he's an art dealer, and he carried on buying as a client, and I bought some art from him, and he introduced me to his watch dealer, who's quite a famous person. I'll keep that quiet. And so I've bought a load of watches off this guy, and you know, all the sliding doors, all the door, they all got opened up because I noticed a watch. My friend Yanni, who I went to see today, he's wrapping my new Aston Martin DBS. I met him on a plane because I noticed his watch.
That's it.
Yeah. Investing 10 grand in a nice Rolex is much better than having 10 grand in the bank earning not much money, for those reasons.
Wow. That's a lesson to learn. So thank you so much, Rob, for today and answering all the questions. I really appreciate that. Where do you want our listeners to connect with you?
So you can find my podcast Disruptors. You can see behind there, if you're watching the video, my book Life Leverage. And you can find me, Rob Moore, or Rob Moore Progressive, on all socials.
Thank you very much, Rob. I really appreciate it. Thank you.